Welcome to The Explainer. Today we're unpacking a technological revolution that is fundamentally changing how over 1 billion people interact with computers. We are talking about India's voice AI revolution. It's a massive shift, so let's get right to it. Okay, let's dive into this. I want you to imagine something for a second. You pull out your smart device to ask a question, but instead of speaking English or even Hindi, you use Tulu, or Garo, or Cocoburg. You see, for most of the world, AI only really speaks a handful of dominant languages. But what if you're one of the millions whose native tongue is a historically marginalized dialect? There is a huge disconnect happening right now. You've got English-first AI, which is incredibly data-hungry and requires massive amounts of existing type data to work. But contrast that with India's actual reality. India isn't just one neat little linguistic market. It's a vast landscape of hundreds of distinct dialects and speech patterns. Think about a farmer trying to check crop prices, or a patient trying to describe their symptoms to an automated healthcare system. They don't want to type out a prompt in English. Their most natural interface is just speaking the regional language out loud. And when AI forces them to adapt to its limited vocabulary, well, the technology just completely fails its users.
Which brings us to a real game changer. Enter SraVaani and how it's breaking the language barrier.
This is SraVaani 1.0. It's an open-source model developed by researchers at the Indian Institute of Science's Spire Lab, alongside ART Park and Google. And they are targeting an absolutely ambitious scale, 65. SraVaani is designed to recognize and understand 65 different Indian languages and dialects. It takes human speech, transforms it directly into AI understanding, and then into text. It's crossing language barriers like literally never before.
But here's the thing. It's not just about the sheer number of languages. It's about focusing on the unheard. We're talking about dialects like Angika, Chakma, Bundeli, Bhojpuri, Mizo. The true significance of SraVaani is its laser focus on regional languages that mainstream AI has, quite frankly, completely ignored up until now. To really grasp why building this is such a massive technical hurdle, we need to talk about low-resource languages. Basically, this just means a language where AI has very little high-quality digital training data. AI learns by consuming data. If a dialect doesn't have a massive footprint on the internet, like millions of Wikipedia pages or digitized books, mainstream AI models just don't know how to process it. And that lack of data, it creates this nasty, vicious cycle. It starts with less training data, which leads to weaker AI models for that specific language. Because the models are weak, developers build fewer real-world applications. Fewer applications naturally mean less user adoption, which ultimately leads right back to less data being generated. It's like a trap. Low-resource languages get completely left behind by the digital economy because they're stuck in this endless loop. So how do you break the cycle? With this staggering number right here, 31,000. Through the broader SraVaani initiative, researchers went out and collected over 31,000 hours of open speech data across 109 languages. And they didn't just scrape the internet for this. They literally hit the road. They traveled across 165 districts in all 31 states and union territories just to capture how India actually speaks in real life. It is a massive logistical feat, and it's effectively building the foundational data infrastructure for an entirely new voice AI future.
Now, let's look under the hood and see exactly how this model works.
SraVaani isn't just a simple translator. It's a highly sophisticated automatic speech recognition, or ASR, model. And it was built using a really impressive 3-stage training pipeline. Stage 1 is learning from speech. They fed the model over 31,255 hours of completely unlabeled audio. This lets the AI just listen and learn the raw acoustic patterns of human speech before anyone even tells it what the words mean. Then we have stage 2, which involves visual context. We'll unpack that in a second. And finally, stage 3 is fine-tuning, where they use another 31,000 plus hours of labeled speech to really sharpen its accuracy across all those dozens of dialects. But I want to jump back to stage 2 for a moment, because this quote perfectly captures the brilliance of it. AI doesn't only listen. It learns from the context surrounding what people are saying. During training, the dataset actually contained both speech and images. By connecting human speech directly to visual context, which is called multimodal alignment, the AI builds a much richer, deeper understanding of language. It's actually a lot like how a child learns to speak by pointing at objects in a room.
Moving on, let's talk about transforming voice experiences and the real-world impact.
So why does all this technical stuff matter to businesses and society? Because this isn't just some lab experiment. It translates into massive transformations across the entire country. In contact centers, it means instant multilingual routing. In government services, a citizen can just use their voice to navigate really complex schemes. They can ask, "How do I apply for this program?" in their native dialect, and the system actually understands them. In healthcare, it provides symptom transcription for doctors. In education, we're talking native language tutoring. And for rural AI, it means finally getting accessible agriculture info. Voice AI literally becomes the gateway for millions of people to access essential services that were previously locked behind a language barrier. Just think about the workflow in a single sector, like a multilingual contact center. A customer calls in using their preferred language. The AI instantly listens, automatically transcribes it, understands the actual intent, routes the call, assists the human agent on the other end, and then summarizes the whole interaction when it's done. Multilingual voice AI isn't simply a nice-to-have accessibility feature anymore. It acts as a complete business transformation layer that entirely automates complex workflows.
But of course, we have to look at the road ahead, including the challenges and shifts on the horizon.
We have to be realistic here. Recognizing a language perfectly in a quiet laboratory is very different from understanding it out in the real world. The next innovation hurdles are messy, and they're fundamentally human. We're talking about heavy accents, code switching, when people jump between two languages in a single sentence, the loud background noise of a busy street, highly localized terminology. The real test for SraVaani is understanding a real person speaking naturally in a noisy, unpredictable, everyday environment while still navigating privacy and bias concerns.
According to a perspective from TechHans AI Consulting, businesses are currently facing their first major strategic transition. They're rapidly moving from the traditional non-AI workflow over to a fully AI-powered workflow. But actually, scratch that. Having AI is really only step one in this evolution.
The much deeper paradigm shift is moving from a digital-first, typing-heavy experience, which was built around English-first AI, over to multilingual AI, which creates a natural voice-first experience. Think about it. What happens to your business when a rural customer can interact with your services perfectly in the language they are most comfortable speaking? It opens up entirely new possibilities.
Which leads us to the ultimate takeaway. The next billion AI users may not type a prompt, they may simply talk. For years, the AI race was just about who had the biggest or the smartest model, but that equation has completely changed. Today, the winner in the AI race will be whoever can make AI work for the largest number of people in their most natural context. India doesn't just need AI that speaks Silicon Valley English, right? It needs AI that actually understands India.
And that brings us to our final thought. Technology stops being something they have to adapt to. Technology starts adapting to them. For decades, we have had to change how we spoke and behaved just to use computers. SraVaani represents the exact moment that flips. This isn't just about voice AI. This is about AI finally learning to listen to India. So what could your organization achieve if your technology finally adapted to the people you serve instead of the other way around? Think about that. Thank you for joining me on this explainer, and keep exploring.